commentators.
Come on, come on. There we go. And then he said, last 2 sets of the block. Alright, here we go. Last 2 sets of the block. Oh, what up? Here we are, we're back. We're back. It's gonna be commentary, case study / review stream number 8. Let me mute myself. And there we go. We're live. Today, we're gonna have the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Dre Charles. Fresh out of Tri-State. I wanna say New York. I actually don't know if he's New York or New Jersey. I think he's New York, right, Dre? So this will be my second time looking at Dre. I don't even know if you ever saw the first VOD because Hangman kind of requested it and not Dre himself. And I don't really know if you ever passed on the torch, but we're doing it, man. We're going to go ahead and get this started. I'm just going to move to the side here a little bit also as a, I guess, disclaimer. What do you call it? I got people working on my roof. So I'm just putting that out there just in case y'all hear some sounds or something, that's just the sound of people working on my roof. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and post this over here. And I'm happy to do this because I know that, oh my god, sorry, I just got a blast from the past for a second. But I know Dre's a hard worker. Alright, cool. Now that I have my mindset in the right place and everything, I can really take a look at this. I'm going to load up Dre's video right here. We got MXG. Should be good. Alright, cool. Per usual, I'm going to talk about the things that I look for when I do these commentary feedback streams. And I've been meaning to make this look cleaner than what it is, because honestly, it's like kind of ugly, but you know, it does what it does. So here, I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen. Overlay 2. Boom. Did I do it? Alright, cool. So these are the things I look for. Alright. And Dre, if you see this, I don't know if you're in chat or not. Probably not. Might come through later. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. But in the event that you disagree with some of these things, let a brother know. You know, of course, one of the things about this is that it is... what's the word I'm looking for? It's subject of opinion, right? Like, it's a matter of opinion. You may think something, I may think differently, and that's one of the big things about commentary. It's subjective. But with that said, I'm going to try to waste minimal time here. It's 5:07. I'm going to try to be looking at the footage by at least 5:15. I do this rundown every single week. Things haven't changed really at all since, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. So cool. Digestibility is a word that I may have made up, may have not made up. Couldn't tell you if it's a real word or not, but how digestible something is, or rather commentary specific, usually refers to how easy is it to chew your food. That's always the way I think about it. If I'm listening, how does it sound to me? Am I able to easily understand what the commentator is telling me? Is it marketed in such a way that people from different kinds of audiences can understand it? And you have to cater your commentary toward your audience, right? So I'm listening to your commentary and I want to know, does it make sense? Is what he's saying really hitting home here? Does this all kind of sit well with me? And is it encompassing for the different kinds of people that listen to commentary? Because oftentimes you'll find people who are very all in, I want super analytical commentary, this, that, whatever, and you'll have these commentators spitting out all this jargon, frame data, etc. without explaining it properly, or alternatively just not explaining it at all. You know, if I say something's 3 frames and I'm someone who's tuning into this tournament, it's on the front page of Twitch, you know, I'm kind of casual, I like to play with my friends, but I'm finding out about the competitive scene. I need you to explain that to me. I don't understand what a frame is or how animation works in that sense, right? 60 frames, 1/60th of a second is 1 frame, etc., etc. But you don't want to get too jargony into it where you start to lose your audience. You have to find that balance. This move comes out on frame 3, aka it's quick as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, saying stuff like that allows it so that it's easily digested by a variety of audiences. You want to try to be as all-encompassing as you can and try to hit as many people in your target audience as you can, but of course you'll never be able to please anyone, or not anyone, but everyone, and that's just a part of commentary. 2, clarity and enunciation. I still haven't actually looked up if this is the proper spelling of enunciation. I've had it here for 8 weeks, and I've yet to actually look up if this is actually how you spell it, because I swear it's not. In fact, this is enunciation. Yeah, I definitely did not spell it right, but still, feeling too lazy to go ahead and Google search the way to actually spell it. So with that said, what I mean is, when you talk, can I hear you? Start, right? Can I hear you? Are you soft-spoken? Do you know you're soft-spoken? And because of that, you make up for it by trying to speak a little more loudly, or maybe alternatively, you have a tendency to mutter, right? You might mutter, you might stutter, you might pause a lot, you might say in the middle of your sentences. You might have very obvious tells, something that I see commentators of all levels do, whether you're TK, EE, Senpai, D1. You'll hear them say the phrase right there to the nth degree, right? Oh, he's able to manage to land the forward air right there, and we're going to see right here how he's able to convert right here. And then it's like, bro, if you actually just sat down, and I made a video on this a while back, and part of me is thinking I should go back to the content creation game for commentary, just so people suck less. But there's just very obvious things that I feel like can be ironed out if people just kind of sat down and thought about it. Because there's two sides of the coin. There's people saying, uh, commentators get nothing but shit and crap and whatever, and they should just be better. And there's a side of that coin where you're like, yeah, we could definitely be better. And then there's the other side where commentators are like, yeah, I never get any constructive criticism. But for me, as someone who does this every week, I want to see people incorporate some of the criticism that they get. I'm not saying I'm the right or the god or the guru of commentary, but I would like to see the improvement in people actively making choices to try and impact their commentary in a positive light that isn't just related to the way they crack jokes. And I want to see more stuff on the technical side of speaking. How one is able to speak. Are their sentences cohesive? Is what they're saying actually making sense? Or are they empty statements for the sake of trying to sound smart? These are the kind of things I really drill people for. And especially after listening to Dre Charles's commentary maybe like 6 weeks ago. It was like it was either number 2 or number 3 I did Dre. I know going in that 1, Dre is smart. 2, he knows a lot about the game. And 3, my expected kind of reaction to the commentary that I'm going to see is, 1, I'm probably going to dog you a lot on certain tells. It might be in the form of words of affirmation, which I bring up pretty much every week, and I find myself repeating myself a lot every week when I'm reading or rather watching people's commentary. So now I'm really finding myself in a position where I'm like, maybe I should just go back to the original idea I had of making the resource, putting it out there, and then trying to make it reach as many people as possible. With that said, that's whatever. Moving on to number 3, knowledge. I already said Dre Charles, I'm sure he understands what knowledge means, but this speaks to all kinds of knowledge. It doesn't speak specifically to the game itself. This can refer to player knowledge, matchup knowledge. Well, not matchup knowledge in terms of the game, but like head-to-head. Whether it's about the history of the tournament or the region, or an anecdote about something in the scene. Knowledge comes in a variety of different ways and forms, and that's what I'm looking out for as well. How are you displaying that you are knowledgeable? Because I've had people who have come on and sent me VODs who I believe have the knowledge, but yet when I listen, it's not accurately displayed in a way for me to leave the cast being like, wow, that commentator really knew what he was talking about. So you have to find ways to weave in your knowledge, but in the same vein, you need to make sure that when you're doing so, it's in a manner that doesn't come off as if you're lecturing me. Because I don't want to sit down and take notes when a commentator is delivering commentary. Now, there's different approaches to commentary, sure, and learning from commentary is most certainly a thing, and if people are learning from my commentary, that's great. But I personally believe the biggest goal of commentary, 1 is to entertain, and 2 is to inform. Those are the 2 things you want to do. But if you are great at entertaining and mediocre at informing, people will love you a lot more than if you are great at informing but mediocre at entertaining. And that's why you see a lot of people get hate for when they do funny, quote-unquote, commentary or a lot of jokes, etc., etc., is because people feel like, oh, where's the substance to what they're saying? But then you understand, especially if you've never been in a position where you've been in a top 8 or a top 16 or a top 32 at a major tournament. If I say something stupid, I get like 100 Twitter followers. If I say something smart, I get 0. So being smart and knowing knowledge about the game does has perks, but analytical knowledge style commentary, at least in Smash, is not rewarded adequately. And that's why you see commentators who may very well have the knowledge kind of go off to the side and goof a little bit. And then if you're at the top already, so it doesn't even matter. Now, enthusiasm, that one's pretty cut and dry. Are you funny? Doesn't matter. Not funny, doesn't matter at all. But are you invested? That's what I care about. Are you invested? When I listen to your commentary, does it seem like you're genuinely excited? Does it seem like you want to be there? Does it seem like you are watching this with me and you're addressing me as if I'm there with you, like you're a friend? Do you feel personable through the mic? There's various different ways to convey enthusiasm. My approach has always been, I'd rather shit out more enthusiasm than not enough enthusiasm, right? I'd rather be too hype than not hype at all. And then you can kind of cut back a little bit, because enthusiasm does not necessarily translate into hype, and that's often a misconception that people have. And lastly, I have synergy, and I swear every week I have like an X factor thing that I put here, or nuance. But synergy, how well do you work with your co-caster? Do you give them chances to speak? Do you end your sentences in a way with your cadence or inflection to let them know that it's their turn to talk? Do you bounce off well? Do you make it so that you're easy to work with? If I get somebody random, will you be able to carry them and make their commentary better? Just having you be someone on the couch enrich the other person's experience, because that's really what you want at the end of the day. You're going to have some bad pairings, of course, but at the end of the day, if you're a good commentator, I should be able to take you and sit you down with someone who's never commentated before. And it shouldn't, I don't want to say it should be good commentary necessarily, but you should know the ways of the land to be able to steer them in the right direction so that you're able to make them shine better than if they were with someone who was just like all right, or a mediocre commentator. And with that, that covers the things that I look for when I do my commentary review. We're going to go ahead and dive in now. I'm a little bit behind on the time that I want to go for, so I'm just going to go for the spins here. This is the Scarlet Classic at Rutgers University. This is when I believe this is supposed to be like in conjunction with Let's Make Moves or something. I don't really know what happened here. But this, we're going to have Dre Charles, and he told me to look at the last two sets. So here's some things I'm going to say off the bat. First and foremost is that, actually, you know what I should do? Okay, I'm going to be a little bit smarter for a second and open a new tab here, swing it to the right, just so I can see my stream a little bit better, just to make sure that I have the adequate like overlays and stuff viewable to the audience. And then I'm going to go back here and press this and then see how that looks in my stream. Alright, cool. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So, here we go. I'm going to put up the volume a little bit here. Can't really do too well.
People.
And this is the thing I was going to say. Okay, so this is Dre Charles and Bo. I'm not familiar with Bo.
Of the
Bo,
Master
SSBU.
Hand.
Probably cool guy. Yeah, I might actually even critique this intro a little bit just because there's always stuff to hammer in there as well. And I'm going to go ahead and move to the end of the set. Now, because it's going to be the end of the set, I believe commentators are just like players, or really just commentating is just like doing anything, right? You wake up for a test, and you just like get up out of bed and you immediately do the test, as opposed to like being able to get up, think your head, wrap around a little bit, maybe eat some breakfast, etc., etc. You know, you don't run a marathon without at least stretching first, right? And I feel like with commentary, a lot of commentators, myself included, and probably most commentators, ramp up the closer they get, well, not the closer, but rather the longer they're in a set, right? There's kind of like a bell curve sometimes to how commentators can be. It can be they start off kind of weak, and then they start gaining energy, and then they've had energy for X amount of time, and they've been on the mic too long, you can feel that energy drop. People have different amounts of stamina, but you always want to try and come in as strong as humanly possible. Especially, I don't know how familiar Dre Charles is working with a bow, but because you don't know, you want to set the precedent of the amount of energy. If you come in enthusiastic, and it seems like Bo seems like a pretty enthusiastic fellow just by the start of this, you're going to have a very smooth cast, because your co-caster, if they're on the end where they're feeling a little bit more low energy, is going to feed off of your energy and overall just create a more energizing cast for everyone to listen to. So with that said, I'm going to, you know, as I said before, I'm going to critique this intro, because this is something that I notice a lot when I look at these kinds of things. Being part of a commentator means speaking well about the game, but this part, when you're on camera, is important as well. You need to be able to say, hey, I know how to open up a stream. I know how to, you know, look at a camera. I understand the rule of thirds. I understand how to set the stage for what's to come, and also how to end it. Like, these are important things that people look out for, because as a commentator, you are your own brand. You want your face to stand out to the people. So when your screen, or rather when your face is visible to the people at home, make sure you're keeping it as if you're looking at them and you're right there with them. You don't want to be caught slipping, because this is one of those few moments where people are able to get a hint of your personality and what you look like and kind of who you are as a person outside of just explicitly hearing your voice. Putting a face to the sound is very important. So here we go.
Gaming Twitch chat all those in Rutgers and the tri-state area and across the country. If you're not tuned into Prime Saga and you're checking us out, welcome. We are bringing you the Shmoney Terry featuring Bow and Dre Charles.
It's your boy Dre. Yeah.
What is good, my man?
And
Okay, so already off the bat, not gonna knock you guys for this. This is a production thing. I've been very, very, very harsh on production every time I do my commentary reviews, because there are certain things out of a caster's control that can affect how well they are received. First and foremost, if a mic maxes out, let's say you're getting hype or something and you start screaming, it is production's job to make sure that you don't blow the ears out of the people listening at home. But if they're not as experienced or they're not doing a great job, sometimes that can happen, and that'll lead to the people who are listening hating you because they're like, why is he screaming in our ears? When in reality, you should be allowed to do that, but production let you down. So I'm going to start with that. But that's not the reason I bring this up. The reason I bring this up is because same thing goes with your mixer, right? Like your little soundboard mixer, and the quality of your headsets. So already as I'm listening to this, I feel as if, and you know, maybe I'll change my mind a little bit as I listen a bit more, that the audio quality of what I'm hearing through the feed is already kind of meh, right? And that's not your fault. That's not your fault. That's not Bow's fault. It's just kind of the lay of the land at this tournament. You show up, you're told there's a stream, you sit down, you don't really know what it sounds like to the people on the receiving end. So for me, I'm like, this is kind of annoying. I hate it when I listen to a VOD of what could be like amazing commentary, or I'm trying to like find clips for my reel and I say something really good, but it sounds terrible. Because how are you going to market yourself as, hey, I'm someone that sounds good, right? Commentary is all about sound and the aspect of hearing something, and just having audio doesn't match the actual things that are being said in real life. So just throwing that out there, we're going in.
I mean, if you're a real one, you're multi-twitching, if we're being realistic here, you know? That being said, yeah, we got some good matches.
So first things first, and good job. You guys didn't make the mistake I pointed out last week. You have your microphones on the inside so that when you turn to look at your co-caster, great, you will not have the mic obstructing your face. So that's good. I'm happy to see that. I'm going to listen to the rest of what you say here, Dre, and then I might have another critique.
Just coming up here is going to be wave 2 of pools. So we're going to have Dill, who plays Raw. Yeah, everybody
My
loves
son.
Dill's Raw.
I've been telling everyone, the second they said Dill was going to be...
Okay, so I'm gonna scroll back a little bit, just so you guys can kind of get an understanding here. I might have gone back too much, honestly.
Through it once again.
Yeah, it's
I will
chill.
help your ears
and,
out.
He'll be... that being said, yeah, we got some good matches coming up here.
People of the master.
Okay, so I don't know if they gave you like a very clear like, hey, we're going in. Because it looked like you were a little caught off guard there, Dre, at the beginning of that.
Hand
But,
gaming, Twitch.
Start off good here, right? You're looking at the camera. You need to make sure you're maintaining this more often than not, right? So Bow's
Chat.
going off.
All those in Rutgers and the tri-state area and across the
looking
country.
around. You're looking at the camera still. This is good. Hold on.
If you're not tuned into Prime Saga and you're checking
Bow,
us
take a
out,
look at the camera.
welcome.
You're
We are
looking at the
bringing you
camera.
the
Bow.
Shmoney Terry
Yeah.
featuring Bow.
Feel like you could have came in a little bit stronger, but I feel like it's like all right. You know, bringing you the Schmonetary or whatever. It's like a commentary, schmoovin, schmomentary, whatever.
Oh, and Dre Charles.
It's your
This is gonna be a ride.
boy Trey. Yeah.
What is good, my man?
Chilling. And I mean, if you're a real one, you're multi-twitching, if we're being realistic here, you know? That being...
And I know, just based off of listening to your commentary from Collision, that you're soft-spoken. So I don't want to say, like, you're unenthusiastic, because I just think you're just mellow. Like, I think you're just, like, a mellow dude. This is just based off of my preliminary, I guess, like, interactions with you as an individual and hearing your commentary.
Being said, yeah, we got some good matches coming up here. It's gonna...
But this is what happens. Your eyes start to trail off a little bit here. Make sure you're looking at the camera. If you're not looking at Bow, you're looking at the camera, right? Unless like for some reason you want to like look around, you know, do a little bit like really just stay engaged with the viewers. You're talking to me right now, right? I'm your viewer. You're looking at me. If you just start looking off to distance, I'm like, what's he looking at? If you want to retain the audience's attention. Look at the audience.
It's gonna be wave 2 of pools, so we're gonna have Dill, who plays Rob. Yeah, everybody
My
loves
son.
Dill's Raw.
I've been telling everyone. The second they said Dill was
And I don't know if I want to say you're low energy, but I'm definitely just like, I don't know. It's more of a like relaxed vibe, and there's definitely a way to commentary that this is an adequate approach, I think, and I think it's good, just based off of the dynamic I see already, that Bao opened up the stream, or rather was the first one to speak per se.
gonna be.
Because I feel like there could potentially be a great balance of just like what do you call it? Of like energy, like some guy being like the hype man. And
Playing,
kinda, like,
I spent
back
all of yesterday casting Dill winning Xenosaga, and now I am here watching him again. I am forever cursed to watch Dill, but I will carry you through it once again.
Yeah.
You didn't think that was that funny, so just don't laugh. I know you're on commentary, so you're like oh, he's like trying to be funny, so you give yourself that, like, you give him the chuckle, right? Like that's more for him and not for you. But like if it's not that funny, just don't laugh, man. Just say like yeah, man, and then you just keep it going. Cause like that laugh, like that shit was fake as fuck. If you're gonna tell me you actually thought that was funny, I'll take it back. But like to me, that's fake as hell.
I will help you.
And people in the chat can like really feed in on that.
And he'll be playing a Dark Samus. I'm not sure what his name is, but I was informed that
The Dark Samus is red-blooded.
Red-blooded. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
You got it.
Give Chris some love,
We have,
guys.
my glasses are all crooked.
Press 1 if you love
hell?
Chris in the chat.
Echo Fighter Devin helped me out right now, giving me the pro tips, telling me what's good. Just making our controls right now, you know, going through the motions. This tournament has been pretty sick so far.
Okay, so I like what Bao does here because he starts transitioning. Because there's like a very clear moment of dead air here where there's no match on the screen and it feels as if you and him don't know what you should be talking about. And you guys said Dill's coming onto the screen, right? Well, you know, if you don't know who the Dark Samus player is, talk about Dill, right? You mentioned like one of his accomplishments or whatever, but you can talk about how Dill shines as a player, something to look out for that makes his playstyle unique, his history in Smash 4, you know, what his seed is in the pool, stuff like that. There's a lot to attack there that you can start talking about, just so it doesn't seem as if you guys feel a little lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the venue is probably the nicest venue I have seen in Tri-State.
Yeah, honestly, it's like a legitimate arena. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, it's literally their basketball stadium.
Yeah.
So it's super lit.
Very sick. A lot of floor
I know
space.
Chris is gonna like dog on me because I always end up dogging on Master Hand Gaming's audio, but I just think it's bad. If I'm honest, I think I don't know. If I could like throw some money at him to flesh it out and make it just sound like overall like cleaner. Like there's a reason like you don't watch the mainstream of any tournament and have it sound like this.
Yeah.
You can actually breathe, you know. It's not.
Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and find the last few. Alright, so maybe over here-ish.
The stock lead? Could anyone beat that?
Ah, that'd be insane. Yeah,
Don't play Snake. Please don't, Dill.
That would be good for New York.
No, it would be bad
Terrible
for New York. Terrible for New York.
It'd be good and bad at the same time. You know, we
It'd be the second Cumbers
and
of
he would
numbers.
become so good.
He would, dude.
Honestly, his Rob showing up a lot.
His Rob is sick.
Yeah.
Just won Xenosaga yesterday.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, he
Let's
did.
go.
He beat Frozen in the grand finals.
Let's go Frozen.
Frozen.
Shout out to G.
Got his first win on Gen yesterday, Frozen.
Nice.
Against the Fox, so it doesn't count.
Awesome. Oh my god.
Dill, please. Kill him. Yes. End it, Judd. Yes. No. Yes. We can start.
Beautiful. What an edge guard. Great edge guard coming out from Judd. We're going to see game 1.
With this quick plan on Battlefield Luigi's Mansion. Dill and Devin love that song.
That's a pretty good song.
On Luigi's Mansion?
Yeah, Devin does like the
you don't
Luigi's
have a
Mansion
second
song.
monitor to tell you what stream sees. If I'm just remembering them.
Okay, and here we are, heading in. Where are we going to be starting? Battle every time. It's Battlefield. Incineroar is scary on Battlefield. Incineroar is mad scary on Battlefield.
Incineroar is incredibly scary.
No, wait. That has
But
to
his
be the
burst
back.
movement in this matchup to cover the mix-up Dill's
Yes.
seen in my schmoovin' life.
So
The other character that did that was Babe. It's literally one of the
$1
best
billion
handles I've ever seen.
Has one tweet.
Never used. Oh my god.
Dill, please kill him. Yes,
I'm
end
actually
it,
gonna
end it,
start.
Judd. Yes, no, yes. We can start
Beautiful. What an edge guard. Great edge guard coming out from Judd. We're gonna see game one.
with this quick play on Battlefield Luigi's Mansion. Dill and Devin love that song
Yeah, that's a pretty good song.
on Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, Devin does like the Luigi's Mansion song.
But remember, like, as a commentator,
Okay, and here we are
if you don't wanna
heading
come
in.
off as
Where are we gonna be
fake,
starting?
Our
Battle
performance.
every time. It's Battlefield. Incineroar is scary on Battlefield.
I'm just gonna make the distinction that, like, I could transcribe everything you say and it could be amazing, but if the delivery isn't there, it doesn't matter. So you really want to make sure you want to make the viewers feel engaged.
Incineroar is mad scary on Battlefield.
Incineroar is incredibly scary on Battlefield.
His up air,
Dude, did he mind game him? Did he play plant? And then
the mix,
he was like, hey,
big brained mix out here right now.
let's go Battlefield.
What is
Sin. Yeah, honestly, and Jut, some of the coolest landing traps.
Coolest movement I've seen in my schmoovin' life.
Oh, nice. And yeah, he does a great job of using the lariat to cover himself.
Okay, already. First criticism. First, be careful with pronouns. I dog everyone for this every week. Be careful with pronouns. Always make sure you refer to the player, like, explicitly when you can. And if you're making, like, a compound sentence or phrasing that's kind of a little bit more elaborate, has some more clauses in it, that you always state the player name first and then use the pronoun afterward. If there's even a break in between your speech, go ahead and refer to the player again. Because when you say something like he, even if I'm watching this and I know whom you're referring to, based off of maybe the rest of the context in the sentence, like maybe say he uses lariat, then I'm like, oh, he must be talking about Jet. I shouldn't have to do that. Just say Jet does X, he blah blah blah, because then you would establish whom you're talking about to begin with and then elaborate on it. And then anytime you're switching to talking about somebody else, say explicitly their name. So that's the first critique I'm going to give you right out the gate.
Just really finding himself in spots that Dill does tend to struggle with sometimes. So
Oh, that was such a weak. You could have definitely converted. Okay.
He's feeding. If he didn't get the Phantom,
And see, here we go. I'm who? I want to hear more of the player name right out the gate.
whistle, that was actually a death for Dill.
Yeah.
See that interaction I was telling you about?
Oh, look at the
Nice
shield
super plus
pressure.
on shield, yeah, because of the revenge.
Oh, I was wondering why. Like, you can definitely get out of that, but
Yeah.
the revenge.
No, the revenge kept him there.
Yo, Jet mixing.
That was actually insane.
And I was-
Catching the rising nair. Yeah, Jet actually really mixing him right now. It's going to be really bad for Dill. He can get back aired here, but good recovery.
Okay, picks up the gyro with that F.
Okay, here we go again, right? So, you said Jet really mixing him right here. How? How is he mixing him? You have to explain the how. I need you to explain explicitly. I'm a kid that's 10 and I like playing Smash with my friend after school. I don't really know much about competitive Smash. How is he getting mixed up? What are you saying? What value does that have to me? And you say good recovery, but you don't explain why the recovery is good. Did it avoid an attack? Was it just tricky? You have to be very clear and concise about these things.
Tilt, but the up air, here we go. Oh, barely missing it there. That would have been the stock for sure.
You see a lot of landing pressure coming out. Chuck and F tilt at the ledge.
That's
Very
the
nice. Just played that
Rocky
first stock
right there,
incredibly well.
He just sticks the hand out.
Oh, nice.
Trying to make it.
laser.
Can we talk about that landing on?
And I don't know what what it is already. I'm literally only seconds into this first match, so I'm not gonna try to be too harsh unless like I keep noticing it. But I feel like you and Bao just kind of talk. I don't want to say necessarily over each other. Sometimes you do, I've noticed, but other times you guys just are like butting heads a lot. You know, and this is probably going to be an inflection thing as well. I feel like Bao especially can kind of work on this in making it clear as to when he's done talking and when it's your turn to talk. I feel like you're getting tripped up a bit, and I feel like he's getting tripped up a bit off of your rhythm as well. You can make it very clear when it's someone else's turn to talk, or you're done talking by use of inflection. So I'll cover that in a little bit.
Up there.
That was
insane. Cloud-esque.
Yeah. Oh man, gets F tilted for his troubles. Doesn't quite check.
You're actually in like a scramble. You can punish that in between the hits. I don't know if Rob has.
See, listen about. You can punish that in between the hits. You have to also remember that to the viewer, our memory is short term, right? You ask me, like, you asked me what happened 10 seconds ago in this match. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. And you have to imagine that it's the same thing for the viewers as well. Now, granted, even though viewers have like quote-unquote short-term memory, you can help jog that memory if something happened within the like past 5 to, at a stretch, 15 seconds. It really depends on how much of a moment it was, because he's referring to the lariat, right? But without explicitly saying lariat, now it just sounds like he's talking about something that I'm not on the in about.
Has a fast enough option?
That's what I'm thinking, is that Rob can't actually scramble with it unless he has access to down tilt.
I'm not sure, because Nair has way too much startup, right?
Yeah.
Can you fair out a
Nair's
shield? Fair out a shield?
Maybe.
That's probably
Honestly,
his best
jump
bet.
squat, like, you're getting caught on your way out.
Yeah, you cannot
It's
spot
good
dodge
reference,
that.
you know?
Okay, now I want to see. So drop zone Nair into up B is one of the
Nice.
strongest ledge guard options that Incineroar has. We're not going to see it there.
Seeing a lot of mix-ups. And honestly, the big thing about Jet here is that he's
You don't want those empty phrases as well. Seeing a lot of mix-ups, unless you're going to specifically refer to the mix-ups that you've seen before, that sounds like an empty phrase, right? Like, it doesn't sound like that particularly adds anything to the commentary that you're saying, so it just sounds like you're putting in a filler phrase because you can't figure out something to say.
staying alive. That's going to end up putting him in a really bad position.
He took so much. That's scary. Okay,
yeah,
we're going to see drop zone
he's
there.
at the ledge and
How did...
And there we go again. So it seems like for Bao especially, it seems like he doesn't stop talking. And I don't mean that in an offensive way, but it feel as if once he commits to a statement, he's going to say it all the time. And he needs to recognize that some of these times where he's just going off, you are in the middle of saying something or being about to elaborate on something or to explain something. So he needs to learn when to back off to let you speak and then respond to when you're speaking, because it can really make it feel as if, even though you guys, I do think, are genuinely talking to each other, it can make it feel like less of a conversation if you guys are always kind of talking on top of each other like that.
How did Dill move so fast? He got to center stage so quickly.
He got
there.
pushed by unit collision. That was a really weird exchange for sure.
Okay, he probably could have went for a harder conversion on that mistech.
You see right there, like what is happening here? Like, listen to this. Like, I'm genuinely confused as to the lack of like awareness of the fact that there's
Caught on your way out.
Yeah, you cannot spot dodge that.
You know?
conversation.
Okay, now I want to see. So drop
So just listen for the next like 20 seconds.
zone Nair into up B is one of the
Nice.
strongest ledge guard options that Incineroar has. We're not going to see it there.
Seeing a lot of mix-ups. And honestly, the big thing about Jet here is that he's staying alive. That's going to end up putting him in a really bad
He
position.
took so much. That's scary. Okay,
yeah,
we're going to see drop
honestly,
zone
he's
Nair.
at the ledge and
How did Dill move so fast? He got to center stage so
he
quickly
got
there.
pushed by unit collision. That was a really weird exchange for sure.
Okay, he probably could have went for a harder conversion on that mistech. But he finds...
Whoa, that was pretty fucking bad. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty bad. We gotta keep pushing.
Okay, hit the Dill, you madman. That was just guaranteed.
Great tech chase.
There was nothing he could do.
That was incredible, but he's going to find himself in a hard position. He's got to stay alive versus Incineroar.
Okay, drop zone Nair. No, goes for the...
He's definitely an up throw kill.
And there we go again. You guys are just butting heads constantly. And for me, as a viewer, it's making me less and less likely to just want to listen to it.
Percent now, yeah. Fair's killing him at the ledge. He might as well play it from here, but Jut's been playing the lead incredibly well, so I want to see what the adjustment is from Dill.
Yeah, Incineroar's burst... Oh, that was a really good roll back.
And also, I don't know if this is like a mishap on production's end. Is this guy's name Jet or Jut? Because he has Jut as the tag, but it says Jet on the overlay. So that's just having me confused. I don't actually know.
But his burst movement in this matchup to cover the mix-up Dills has, what we were talking about earlier is what...
And God, please, for the love of God, refer to players by name more, right? Like, here isn't super bad because Bao goes, the mix-up he does to hit Dill, right? So he says, oh, if he's saying it's going to hit Dill, that means he must be talking about Jet or Jut. I don't know what his tag/name actually is. But instead, just say Jut at the beginning of the sentence. is just making. I don't want to do the mental gymnastics of trying to figure out who you're talking about at every single turn. It's very important. Use of pronouns. That's why I don't want to say keep it to a minimum, but just make it abundantly clear. And this is something I try to do, especially in my commentary.
One of his best strengths. Jet is saying, no, I'm killing you.
Yeah.
You go up there, you are dying.
Yeah, absolutely. And Instant doesn't have great movement over time. Like, his run is very slow.
Yeah.
His initial dash and dash grab and his jump really get him places.
Yeah, his initial dash is quick, but its distance is not gigantic.
Yeah.
But he moves. Okay, this could be it.
That's
Good
going to be
DI.
some great DI, yeah, coming out. Just got to DI well if you're a heavy.
But if Dill takes this stock quickly, we are looking at a very even game. Okay, this could be it. Yeah, that's going to be it.
Unfortunate counter.
He went for the read on the
Feeding
instant up
hard.
air.
Again, right? I don't know if I need to point it out any further, because I think at this point, you probably understand exactly what I'm talking about. And this probably comes more as a synergy thing than a specific problem with either of you two as commentators. Because I do believe that in your commentary with Max, you didn't have this problem. And I think that could just be lack of experience showing on both ends there. Because at least from my perspective right now, it could or could not be true. Me, from my perspective, it seems as if you're trying to say something and Bao is kind of talking on top of you, over you, through you, and you're like, well, I still want to get the shit that I want to say in, so I'm just going to say it. And for him, on his end, I feel like he just doesn't know when to commit to the statement, so he commits every single time. And that makes the commentary nigh unlistenable. Like, this is something that's so jarring to listen to that it really just shows, because it doesn't even consider what you're actually saying. It's just explicitly one of those aspects of commentary where, regardless of the content of what you're saying, this can make or break a cast for sure.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of that, because if you read that not happening.
This is going to be 51 damage in the corner for Judd. What's he going to do here?
It's the drop zone nair.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
if he got the hard nair, he actually could have killed him off of it just a little.
And I'm gonna say right now that I feel as if Bao is I can just tell from kind of the voice that he has and his inflections that he definitely seems to want to be more on the end of hype, right? He really wants to have something really cool happen and be the guy delivering that moment with the utmost confidence and really laying it on there. And he's going to have to learn, one, that you can't have every moment. Like, you have to give some of those away, / just like, especially if someone's already talking, don't just interject yourself in there at the potential possibility that there could be a moment. You have to trust in your co-commentator as well. Like, every single play doesn't have to be met with the nth degree of excitement.
Fortunate. But he still finds himself.
That was so good.
Honestly, he uses Lariat better than almost any other instant that I've seen.
I think I've never seen an instant. Oh my god, I actually stopped breathing for a second at the center.
Maybe a down tilted ledge here.
Yes. Oh, he's not.
It's still happening. I said I wasn't going to point it out anymore, but one last time, I'm going to point it out. Y'all are talking all over each other, and it is just bad to listen to.
Not going to find. He got bounced against the stage, so.
Rolls out of there. Almost gets caught for the spot dodge. Unfortunate. Ooh.
Okay.
Gonna get forced back. Nice. Nair.
Gonna get forced back who? Who? I need player names. I need player names. Player names. One thing I will say is that at this point,
Dill's racking up so much damage really quickly.
Yeah,
I thought we were
kinda
going to get the side
realizing-
beat. Okay, that should be it. Yeah, definitely.
we're in last stocks. This game 1 is over, and I feel like, at least for me as a viewer, I really don't have a feeling of what did Dill do exceptionally well? What did Jet do exceptionally well? What was being looked for in the neutral game? I feel like I've gotten a good amount of general knowledge, and a little bit of player-specific knowledge about Jet as much. I feel like Dill has very much so been overshadowed in this game 1, but overall, I feel like the entire flow of the back and forth of the match was lost. And part of that was because of how often you and Bao are stepping on top of each other's toes. But with that said as well, I think that where you shine, especially Dre, is that you're very good with like very specific knowledge. I don't even want to say niche, but just like very specific knowledge. You know a lot about characters. You probably think about matchups a lot in theory crafting, etc., etc., and that's all sick. But what really makes it OD is when you're able to mesh that knowledge in to making someone's character play seem unique, right? Like if you're able to say that Incineroar has, this is just an example. I'm not saying this is true or not, but like, all right, Incineroar has a pretty good initial dash. He doesn't go very far, but because of the speed of his initial dash, Jet especially is a player that likes to weave in and out at very close range distances to really mix up the spacing of his opponent, and then he likes to go in with a counterattack with that Alolan Whip. That's something you could say where it's specific to the player, but also specific to the character. It weaves in the knowledge from both ends and makes me feel like, as a viewer, oh, that's something cool about Jet that I never noticed before. And that's how you really guide people along.
Right out of there, Jet taking game one.
Yeah,
It's going to be the first upset of the day.
Dill's catching on to a lot of really bad habits coming out from Jet. Just
A little bit too late.
Disadvantage? A little bit too late, yeah, for sure. Because he ended up finding himself just trying to get out of the corner because he put himself there by mistake.
Yeah.
And instant side B, like any instant with a brain, is just going to catch you there.
Okay, so first thing I want to say is this statement is half good, or maybe a third good. I'm not sure yet. But what I mean by that is, I'll go ahead and play it
Brain
again.
is just going to catch you there, and you're Rob, so you're so high, so he gets a short hop.
And he's so big. Rob's hurt box is so big that becomes... Those racking up so much damage really quickly.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to get the
realized-
side beat.
Yep.
Okay, that should be it.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Right out of there, Jet taking game one.
Yeah,
It's going to be the
Dill's-
first upset of the day.
Dill's catching on to a lot of really bad habits coming out from Jet. Just
A little bit too late.
Disadvantage? A little bit too late, yeah, for sure. Because he ended up...
So you say Dill is catching on to a lot of really bad habits from Jet. And to me, the start of that phrase is great. Just in terms of explicitly the words being said. I think the delivery is still lacking there. Like, it feels as if, to me, you're still not quite at that point where you're able to cohesively think of a sentence on the fly and deliver it confidently. And there's going to be moments when you're on commentary where the words aren't quite coming to you the way they should, and that's fine. Those are going to come every now and again, but you need to be able to try and keep it as fluent and as fluid as possible as to uphold the flow of commentary. And that's where I think you're lacking a little bit as well. I can hear the us when you go to think, and this is all about technical aspects of commentary. Most of my critiques are always going to be about the way people speak, and not even necessarily about the content of what they're saying a lot of the time. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's not even about what they're saying, it's about how they're saying it, right? Because especially, people always want to say Smash commentary is so terrible. Yes and no. It has its very good aspects. It's rooted in a different area than other kinds of commentary. But if you go look and compare to the other esports out there, regardless of, the infrastructure, the inarguable thing is that the commentators for other games are just better at fluently speaking than every Smash caster I know. Like, even the best of the best, TKEE, put Jordan R. Kent from Nintendo on, and he's going to give you a fluent cast. It may be full of bullshit, but it's going to sound good. And sounding good is like 70% of it, to be honest. You need to make sure that you can make those sentences nice, clear, concise. But on top of that, the second thing I want to hammer in about the statement is, I think, and this is personal, and you can agree or disagree, but I think this phrase disadvantage or disadvantaged state is ass. And I say this almost every week on the review stream. And the reason I say that is because, and I think Leffen was the one who really first put me onto this, and I thought about it, and I was like, no, this makes sense. Disadvantage refers to too much, right? Disadvantage refers to when you're in a state of being punished, or let's not necessarily say you're being punished, but you're in a positional disadvantage. And I'd much rather you say that, right? Instead of saying he's picking up on his habits and disadvantage, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Does that mean he's recovering high every single time? Does that mean he always decides to roll in? Does it mean he always commits with an aerial on the way down from above? There's so many different things that the phrase disadvantaged state encompasses that I feel like as a commentator, we should shy away from using giant umbrella terms like that. Try to be as specific as possible, which is why when you say immediately after in the next sentence, something along the lines of he kept trying, he couldn't find his way out the corner, I think that's infinitely better than saying disadvantaged state. Because if you say he's in the corner, that very clearly signifies to me as a viewer, I imagine two characters on a stage, let's say FD, one of them has their back to the ledge, right? Now that's what would be the quote-unquote corner in this game, or maybe a ledge trapping scenario, and at least it narrows down exactly what you're talking about. But saying disadvantaged state doesn't do that. So that's why I say, if you ever find yourself being about to say advantage or disadvantaged state, think about what you actually mean, and then say that instead.
Finding himself just trying to get out of the corner because he put himself there by mistake, and instant side B, like any instant with a brain, it's just going to catch you there.
Here's another one. Side B. Don't say that. If you can, don't say it. And even top commentators do this, but don't. If you can. Sometimes it's going to slip out, and there's going to be certain moves that you can't remember the name of. Remember those names. In fact, after I'm done reviewing this VOD, I have a set of, like, is this either Quizlet, I think? Flashcards that has the name of every single special move in the game. And I'm going to put them as an open source resource to commentators so that they can learn the names of moves so they can't get lazy and just refer to it as side B, up B, down B. In a scenario where you need to refer to a move and you don't know the name of it, I would much prefer that you refer to it by a universal input name. So rather than saying side B, say forward special. And the reason I say that is because the B button may not be the same for everyone who's playing the game, especially in Ultimate, where people have all kinds of controls. Side B means one thing to someone and can mean something to something else. Granted, it is default controls, I know, but saying forward special encompasses all of that. But I'd rather you just say alone when whip, or, you know, depending on what version he gets or whatever, but you know what I mean. You know, cross chop, I don't want to hear up B. If anything, say up special, but at the best, I want to hear, you know, cross chop or revenge, right? There are certain moves that are very clear to people in their head, like everybody knows Falcon Punch is Falcon Punch, but then when it comes to Crom's up special being soaring slash, not so many people know that's what it's called. And that's something that's very easy to just kind of study up on and hammer away, and then just have it not be something you have to worry about in your commentary ever again. So I'll go ahead and throw that resource at you after I finish reviewing, but that's just another critique.
You know, and you're Rob, so you're so high, so he gets a short hop.
And he's so big. Rob's hurtbox is so big that it becomes so easy to catch up to him.
Yeah.
Because he has decent rolls, but they're not, like, good enough.
Another thing, phrases of affirmation. When somebody's talking to you, try to keep the amount of mm-hms, yeahs, uh-huhs, yep, to a minimum. Why? Because when you do that, you imply that you're not actually, like, it's weird, right? Because you're saying yeah, uh-huh, mm-hmm, to try and insinuate that you're listening to your co-commentator. And that's fine. You can throw those out every now and again. Yeah, dude, no, totally. I get you. I hear you. Exactly, man. That's exactly what I'm saying. You can throw out phrases like that. But moderation is the key here. Because I've already heard a few times already, even before this moment, where you've been like, yeah, uh-huh. And if what it ends up doing is it makes it feel as if you're waiting for your co-commentator to shut up so that you can talk. Maybe you are, I don't know, but you definitely don't want your audience to catch on to that. So be careful with phrases of affirmation. The other alternative, which I think I only heard you do once, maybe twice so far, is parroting. If your co-commentator says, bro, that forward air was crazy, I don't want to hear you immediately say, yeah, man, that forward air was crazy. Why? You know what I mean? Like, he just said it. I don't need to hear you say it for it to be valid. So even if you want to express a sentiment that you feel the same way, just say that. Yeah, dude, I agree. That was wild. Much better than just repeating exactly what your co-commentator said, word for word or almost word for word.
to get past. His rolls actually aren't that good, Robs. I don't know what I'm saying.
They're not.
Pretty much every character with a big hurt box like automatically has a bad roll.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, sticking with the same matchup, no reason to change. I definitely feel like Dill can do it, and I also feel like Jut with that crazy hairdo he's rocking right now.
Honestly, yeah, his hair is all over the place, but I dig it, man.
Yeah, bro, he's wavy right now.
Yeah, it's actually
like this Incineroar, bro, is wavy.
Okay, so first off, I don't know how well you know Jut. Maybe Jut's your boy. Maybe he isn't. But just as a general rule of thumb, unless like something is like so painfully obvious or bad, I in general try to avoid making negative statements about the appearance of players. Just in general. Because then you kind of like enforce a certain feeling of expecting people to look a certain way, and people can look however the fuck they want. But secondarily, you know, you can say, like, if you want to talk about his hair, you can. Like, say, like, yeah, Jut's hair is looking pretty. And that's kind of what you're saying, right? I just, well, this is more Bao than you, but he's like, his hair is looking a little crazy, but he rocks with it or whatever. I'd rather just like him phrase that differently, because the phrase crazy can have a negative connotation. So you can say, you know, so-and-so's hair is looking a little stylized, or I don't know. That's just me. Because there's a clip of me saying like something similar about Mike Hayes' hair, but I never actually comment on Mike Hayes' hair personally. I make a joke about it, but I don't want to comment on it. Because you gotta let people live their lives, but that's whatever.
Okay, he's a masher, filthy masher for doing that.
Yeah, we're gonna see the up.
That laugh also was just like, oof. You gonna tell me that one was real too? If it is, it is. I'm just saying it didn't come off as real, and like, regardless of like intent with commentary, how it's received always matters more. Because people aren't going to be like, hey man, he was just trying to be funny. They're going to be like, wow, he wasn't funny. So you always have to be careful for like that. Just try to be as genuine as you can. Fuck, a little further. I'm going to play the
function where he always had you at a good percent no matter what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And he kind of does do that.
Oh shit, what did I do? I'm like, how did I end up with Googie Coogs?
Yeah.
Dill opted for Battlefield again. I think maybe Melee Yoshi's actually isn't legal at Dill, please to kill him. Yes.
What did I do?
To get out of that, but yeah, and it's super safe. Can we put some end lag on that move?
Here.
But he still finds himself.
That was so good.
Honestly, he uses Lariat better than almost any other Incin that I've seen.
Alexa.
And this game might low-key be a brain. It's just gonna catch you there, you know. And you're Rob, so you're so high, so he gets a short hop.
And he's so big. Rob's hurt box is so big that
All right,
becomes
listen up.
so easy to catch up to him.
Yeah.
Because he has decent rolls, but they're not like good enough to get past. His rolls actually aren't that good, Robs. I don't know what I'm saying.
They're not.
Yeah, what the
Pretty much every character.
What the fuck, Bao? Yeah, you don't know what you're saying, so just don't say it. Like, I hate that. I hate that shit. I mean, like, I guess it's great that he owns up to it, but just, like, if you find yourself bullshitting for the sake of bullshitting, just either mask it better, or alternatively, just say a statement like, yeah, I don't really know what the frame data is like, or the hurt boxes, or when Rob is, you know, whatever, in his role. So I don't want to speak too heavily on that, but, you know, just talk about it in the way that you know. If you don't know, speak about it in a way that says you don't know. There's nothing wrong with saying you don't know, and I'd rather you, like, just approach it from that way instead of having to correct yourself later, because to me, as a viewer, I no longer trust you, because you can't even trust yourself, apparently. It is what that message gives off.
Character with a big hurt box like automatically has a bad roll.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, sticking with the same matchup, no reason to change. I definitely feel like Dill can do it, and I also feel like Jut with that crazy hairdo he's rocking right now.
Honestly, yeah, his hair is all over the place, but I dig it, man.
Yeah, bro, he's wavy right now.
Yeah, it's actually
like this Incineroar, bro, is wavy. Okay, he's a.
Yeah, this wavy thing, I think it's supposed to be like an attempt at being funny, but it's just kind of annoying. But, you know, once again, humor is subjective, but I feel like most people would side with me on that one. That was just kind of like, okay, haha.
Masher, filthy Masher for doing that.
Yeah, we're going to see the up throw F to just, still taking the early lead.
56, that's a big deal.
Honestly, my whole thing here is...
That was so sad.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate.
Alexa.
And this game might low-key be a little over because playing the lead versus Rob is
especially
really
as
hard,
Incineroar.
but on a fresh stock, he's going to find himself...
Oh, no, I thought he died for a second.
He's going to try to scum him. He's going to try to scum him.
You have to. Okay, that is always very scary. And Dill with the gyro.
Yeah, recognizing that
there's no double jump
for him. Doesn't get anything on the up B. Good stuff coming from...
Okay, definitely gonna say first that more often than not, you don't want to call a match like that. Like, even though you end up being correct, right? Jut kind of has that stupid SD and ends up losing the set, and you're implying that it's going to be difficult. I'd rather you imply that it's difficult, rather than saying that it could be over. Because, for example, Mars as a player, I've seen SD at 0 on the first stock and terrifying matchups and still come back and manage to win that game. So you just don't, like, you never know what's going to happen until it happens, generally. So always leave yourself a window to be correct. Like, very rarely should you ever be phrasing things in a way that makes it seem like, or that leaves the possibility of you being wrong. Generally, you want to make an option select where this could be difficult. We'll see if he has it in him to make it back. And you know, there's going to be some times where the comeback is nigh impossible. And that's where you generally hear the phrase, you know, if I was a betting man, I think I know where I'd place the chips. Or, like, if it's last stock, especially, then, yeah, you feel a lot more freedom to be able to make a call like that. But this is still very early in the game. You know, there could be gimps, there could be whatever. And I don't think that saying a statement like that really has a place this early. But that's just me personally.
From Jut, just realizing he has to clean up as much now as he ever can.
Okay, there we see the,
nice.
I hate you, Dill. I hate you. Stop. I hate when he does that. I'm playing the game.
I'm Diddy Kong, baby.
Yes, he's just autopiloting. His brain switches back to 2015.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that'd be chic. 2017.
Gonna find the hard
So
back
much
air for his
lag on
troubles,
that.
and this is gonna be the hardest position that Jut's been put in yet, honestly.
I think it's
If I'm
literally
him,
impossible to
I'm
win.
thinking about my approach plan for game start
2.
next game.
I mean, game 3.
Because, yeah.
Dill opted for Battlefield again.
Here, no one's telling me what Dill is actually doing. You know, like, for someone that's winning, I feel like I know very little about what Dill has actually done to body Jut.
Maybe Melee Yoshi's actually isn't legal at this tournament, so
Yeah,
we'll not be seeing that as the counter pick. That would probably be it in most situations.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't quite find it. Maybe just needed to fast fall during the gyro throw.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Like, pronouns. Again, I'm going to hammer this home because this is so important. Is unable to find it. What is it, right? Just say the combo, the conversion. Just be specific. Pronouns are like a different form of ambiguity. Saying he, it, stops you from saying specifically what you're referring to. If you say he, I may know what you're talking about, or I may not. If you say Dill, I now know whom you're referring to. It especially is a really bad pronoun because it's as big of an umbrella term as advantage and disadvantage, right? Like, it could refer to disadvantage. It could refer to an attack. It could refer to his spacing. It could refer to air dodge. Like, what is it? And unless you specifically define what that is, don't use the pronoun. But especially a third person pronoun like it that can refer to abstract concepts as well, I'd rather you just try to omit that word.
Yeah, that could have been it because he DI'd out on the gyro, and that DI-in definitely would have caught him.
Did you see that? He back aired the ledge and gyro spinning covered the...
Did you see that? He just say the names of the players. Say the names of the players.
Instant clothesline.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then he got a grab off of it. Pretty nice.
Okay, this is not going to do it. He chucks him up.
Yeah, looking for that DI mix up. Gonna get the big laser.
He did turn around. That must have been a misinput.
Ah,
his roll. Yeah, that's definitely it.
Versus Insane.
But it looks like it's going to be a little too late. 50-50 on the down throw.
Yeah, Jet actually...
Oh,
Jet in a great position right now.
Okay, he used it already. It only did like 18%.
It's fighting for that moment. Like, Bao needs to just let you talk here. Even though he's like, oh my god, this is so cool, I want to talk about it. Just like, fucking chill out. Let him talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
honestly, he was in a great position because if you can down throw fast fall up air Rob on Paddlefield, you're probably chilling.
Yeah.
Like, he had enough rage that he definitely could have looked for a mix up for the kill.
Yeah, you get side beat like a short hop height above the top platform at like
over.
40. You die to the yeet up, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty
he
wild.
chucks you.
Yeah, and honestly, Jet, like, he wasn't even making...
And also, those are those phrases of affirmation that I was referring to before. You're just like, yeah, whenever Bao's talking, it's almost like you just want him to shut up. That's like the impression.
Super bad critical plays than usual. It was just his disadvantage got dismantled.
Yeah, he had to hold forward. Dill was like, I'm not approaching you. It's all on you, men.
Yep.
Come into me. And Dill is legendary for playing with the stock lead.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Dill.
If there's anything he does well, I mean...
Dill with a stock lead is... like literally a top 10 player in the world.
It's so scary. So scary.
Could you imagine if he played Snake?
Oh,
Dill
man,
Snake with his stock lead? Could anyone beat that?
Ah, that'd be insane. Yeah,
Don't play Snake. Please don't, Dill.
That would be good for New York.
No, it would be bad
Terrible
for New York. Terrible for New York.
It would be good and bad at the same time. You know, we
It'd be the second Cumbers of
he would
numbers.
become so good.
He would, dude.
Honestly, his Rob showing up a lot.
His Rob is sick.
Yeah.
Just won Xenosaga yesterday.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, he
Let's
did.
go.
He beat Frozen in the grand finals.
Let's go, Frozen.
Frozen.
Shout out to Jake.
Got his first win on Gen yesterday, Frozen.
Nice.
Against the Fox, so it doesn't count. But
Awesome.
headed into
this
this game
song's so
3, right into the mix. Okay, that the like mash up B just landing into him has been doing a work.
Yeah.
Now, I know I already said this before, but just a reminder: move names, cross chop, even say recovery. Just don't say a direction and the button press.
Honestly,
For Jet.
people just, it's hard.
Here we go.
A lot of insins don't understand where his up B goes when you
Yeah.
angle it properly. So if
Okay.
you don't play the character,
That could
it's
have
hard to
Rob could have been
gauge.
dead right there if he got hit with that with the up B.
he could have killed him for that. But just looking to
He could have killed who?
get the safe landing on stage, not overextending at all. Really wants to play it safe.
Who wants to play it safe?
There was actually a lot of situations where both players, I feel, could have taken this stock already.
Yeah.
But everyone just not having the tightest conversions. Nerves might be playing a part in this game 3, especially when you just get run up side beat by insane.
There's a lot of spots where I feel like people could have taken stocks already, but not the tightest conversions. You have to refer to what those spots are specifically, or to me, it's just empty dialogue. This is for Bao though, not for you.
Incineroar.
Honestly, both of them destroyed each other. Like, when Jet was winning.
Yeah.
Dill just crushed him that game. Like, even though the stock count didn't look the same, the mental game definitely played out in a very similar fashion. So
Sus DI.
they really don't want to do anything too overzealous here.
Okay, Gyro just gonna save him. Lilat almost got a little funky there.
Yeah.
He like edge dodged through the ledge, but he was able to come back. This could be the stock. He messes it up.
Almost gets the mix-up.
Oh, that. You don't think it would have killed the regular one?
Regular one might have killed, but I think he was looking for the mix-up because Dill did go straight up.
Okay, we see the slants there on Lilat. Okay, this.
Nice.
Oh, did he shield poke?
Yeah. No, he just didn't realize what was going on.
Oh, okay.
I like that you go for that correction.
He checked the super armor with F tilt, and I think just completely forgot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna
nice.
grab
Getting
that
two of them.
there.
Gonna put him in the corner.
Okay.
Dodges the laser. This is a bad position for Dill. You really.
And just in the way I'm hearing you talk now, this is what I feel like is the most energy I've heard from you thus far today. And I feel like this level of energy, I don't think this is too much. If you can like try to sit around this area, I think that'd do eons for your commentary.
I don't want to be here right now.
You gotta end this stock really quick. Incineroar's momentum is insane with this character.
And there you go, the phrases of affirmation again, but it really does feel as if Bao is kind of a little much.
Starts moving 3 in a row. All of his damage has been from the side B.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he wanted to end it
nice
all.
Boost. Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. Dylan in such a bad position.
Oh, that is so good. What? Like, come on, man. Like, I feel like there's very obvious things to be said in some of these scenarios. That is just being delivered so flat. Like, just say the darkest lariat. Like, just say, wow, and a great use of the darkest lariat there. And you don't even have to be super specific with how great. You know what specifically was so great about it. You can just say to send his opponent off stage. You could just say that, and I'll set up for the ledge trap. Like, that phrase is so much better than just saying, nice there. Like,
Doesn't find the revenge. That's going to be really good for Dill because he's going to keep himself
say names.
alive, but unfortunately he's still playing the ledge. Doesn't get the stack.
Okay, it's
but
suicide.
He misses it. No.
That's okay. I feel like that's okay. That is an okay trade. Incineroar was at 180, and he took that stock at 100.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
And he still has the stock lead.
He's still playing the lead very heavily, yeah.
Okay, finally
caught.
Hit that gyro with the revenge, so that was pretty good.
Nice stuff from Dill. Gonna keep the pressure up here. Getting caught by landing there for not respecting Instin's reach. Yeah,
okay, and nothing.
As well.
We see Dill being forced to approach, and his game plan is just melting before our eyes. We see really weak. He whiffed side.
So here, I hear Bao start maybe 2 to 3 different phrases and not finish them. So for a viewer, that's very jarring. What were you going to say? Was it even of value since it seemed you were so easy to discard it? Because there's nothing like so immediately important on the screen that leads me to believe that he had to interject upon himself to say something else.
Beat Anger Punish was Drift.
Yeah.
That's not game winning.
Yeah, that's definitely not game winning.
And there you go. That's the parroting I was talking about. Try to stop that, and that was also paired with phrases of affirmation. Cut that as well.
Judd just making all the adjustments that he needs to right now, really cleaning everything up.
Oh, no.
This is a potential
he grabbed him. He grabbed him.
Puts
He's
him to
okay.
the ground, then catches the up smash. I think he was looking for something but didn't get. He was looking for the down B, but didn't quite get it. Because
Okay, you know what?
Less pronouns, more player names.
This game got very doable because we've seen whoever has the momentum is just rolling with it. And right now it is Dills. He is raising the roof right now.
He's got to stop trying to fair landing Incineroar. He's getting nared for it every single time. Nice. Air dodges to the ground to get himself there fast enough.
Is
But
that
he's
going to
going
be
to
it?
check
Wow.
in the face. Wow.
The feet. Dill gets upset by Jet.
I don't know why. I think I said Dill was winning earlier. I don't know why the fuck I said that.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I'm cooked for that. He won game 2 though, right? Yeah, maybe not.
Stuff by Jet, honestly, just playing advantage incredibly well. Cleaned everything up, and I honestly, low-key, played to Lilat very, very well. Consistently using all 3 of those platforms, making sure that he was sharking him. Always in a good position to
It's scary
extend
underneath
like,
that platform.
Dude, and there's 3 of them versus Instant, man. He's just short hop auto-canceling all of them. That's scary.
That was a pretty
scary.
strong counter pick. Super respect. Moving on, I think that was probably to make it out, right? Dill Jet?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay, so Jet making out winner's side. Dill gonna have to play one more match on losers before he makes it out.
Yep.
But we will probably see him in that
I'd
top
imagine
48, I think we have.
Yeah, it's 48, yeah.
And now our next match, we got that guy from One Piece
Yeah,
fighting,
Strongman.
is that Kugi? Was that
Yeah, it's Kugi.
Kugi? Okay.
Yeah, it's Kugi. Rutgers' hometown hero.
Is he? Was he Rutgers? I thought that was Pazda.
He's a
Him
Rutgers.
is my Rutgers hometown hero. My son, don't jump.
Please.
Okay. So I think for me, at least up until this point, I think I've heard enough. I think I have a slew of criticism that I can throw that should hopefully be helpful to you. And hopefully, prayerfully, that you don't, like, take me being, like, I don't know. I just hope this doesn't feel, like, condescending as opposed to constructive, because that's not what I want. But I'm going to bring it back to here. Right. How digestible is your cast? Right. Sometimes I give like report cards for this and like numbers. I'm not even gonna bother. I think you have like a good idea, kind of all the things I was getting at, and especially as I guess, I don't know. Sometimes you feel some way about your commentary, then you get a different perspective, and it can kind of shift some things. So I think in terms of what was being said, uh, I don't think it was all that digestible. Not that even it was necessarily too jargony or hard for me to understand what was being said because of like how hard it was to understand it, but more so the difficulty in understanding stemmed from the phrasing of things themselves. Very left right in terms of like whom you were referring to, but because of the abundant use of pronouns in reference to a player, I couldn't tell which player you were referring to at any given moment, and that can really convolute things. On top of that, digestibility combos into clarity and enunciation, and I think in terms of your ability to say words and pronounce them and enunciate well, I think those were fine. I think felt like your inflection in combination with enthusiasm could use some assistance, but overall, I think if you were saying everything everything that you said was more or less understandable uh, from a hearing it, like I knew what you said perspective, not necessarily uh, understanding it in a like kind of more comprehensive sense, but I was able to understand it in terms of my ear hearing it and being able to register the words that you were saying. But there was a lot to unpack there as well. So because of that, the clarity suffered. You and Bao stepped on each other's toes a lot when speaking. That detracted from the experience as well, made that hard to listen to. Um, and I feel like knowledge wasn't really displayed for me, right? I'm not going to say that you didn't have knowledge. There was like a few moments here and there where I think you guys are able to talk about specific aspects of Incineroar and Rob, but the way it's talked about feels so general, and especially that one moment where Bao was like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, you just, that can really just really damage a cast. Enthusiasm, I think Bao had more than enough of that. I think Dre needed more, especially since I could see that you got energy toward the end of that set. I know that it's in there and that it's in you, and if you have that, I'd like to see more of it. But for Bao, I don't even want to say less enthusiasm. I think the level was pretty solid, but sometimes it can feel misplaced. Like, you need to know when it's your turn to talk, and if you feel like you're talking too much, let your co-caster talk. And I'm going to talk about inflection a little bit here because this is where you guys suffered a lot. If I want to let my co-caster know that it's his turn to talk, or her turn, or whatever they identify by, I have a few ways of doing that. First, I can do a direct handoff. Like, I can do a question or a direct address to signify that I'm done talking by saying, like, wow, and that was a crazy conversion. Dre, what do you think so-and-so has to do in order to bring this back? Clean, clear. Now you know I'm not going to talk, and now it's your turn to talk. Alternatively, you can use hand signals. Someone's talking, you know, the overlay's on for the in-game capture footage so the people can't see you. You can look at your co-caster and say, stop, or put a finger up, something you can define your own language to use with hand gestures and movement to signify when you want to talk, when you think someone else should stop talking, and get that whole back and forth started. And the third way of doing it is through inflection. If I say, wow, and that was a crazy combo coming out from Dill, and he manages to convert off stage, won't quite be able to secure the edge guard there though. This neutral special just barely whiffing, but man, I don't know what he's going to be able to do here to keep, what's his name, Jet off the stage. If I say keep Jet off the stage as keep Jet off the stage, I say it like that, you know it's your turn to talk, right? Like, let me say it again in context so that it sounds a little more natural. And he manages to push him, is unable to confirm the edge guard there, the neutral special barely missing. I don't know what he's going to do here or what he has to do in order to keep Jet off the stage. I say it like that, you know someone else is going to talk after that, right? Because the way the inflection on stage makes it seem as if I'm done talking. But alternatively, if I say it like, yeah, and I don't know what he's going to be able to do here to keep Judd off stage, you can't tell based off of that inflection whether or not I'm done talking, whether or not I'm going to say something else. And that's what would keep happening in your set. You guys would be talking, and someone would deliver a line like that, and I don't know how he's going to keep him off the stage. And there'd be a little bit of a pause afterward because that person was done talking, but they didn't signify it correctly. And because of that, the other person would come in and be like, hey, and now, and then the other person who had originally done the first statement starts talking again because there's a pause, and they think, oh, the other person's not talking, I guess I'm going to talk again. And then you guys butt heads. And the way you guys, like, dealt with talking at the same time was pretty fucking bad. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty bad. There's few ways to deal with that, right? You know, that's what I just went over more or less in terms of like deciding when to talk, but also on the receiving end. Like if someone's trying to talk and you guys find yourselves butting heads again, either bring attention to it, right, when the caster cam isn't present, or alternatively try to make it even more obvious that one, you're speaking. Like if you come in with full amounts of energy and confidence when you go to talk, you're going to be more inclined to force the other person that talked at the same time as you to back off because like, ah, shit, he came in so confident, I'm not trying to talk over him, right? The other alternative is maybe you've been talking a lot and you hear your co-caster starting to talk and you just shut up. It's like you guys kind of have like a tiny little bit of an awkward like where both you guys are talking at the same time, and then you back out, and even though it's a little awkward, it's infinitely better than just continuing to talk at the same time over each other. Yeah. And then for synergy, I feel like the synergy, I don't even know if you guys necessarily have bad synergy, but you definitely didn't work well together. Like I don't know in terms of natural synergy if you guys are great or bad. But in terms of like how you guys actually work together, I feel like it was pretty terrible. Because it didn't feel like you guys were really... Commentary is a conversation. That's the golden rule. Commentary should always feel like a conversation. It should feel like you're, either you're chilling with the homie, and maybe if it's your first time commentating with someone, feel like you're taking them out on a date. But the idea is that like it's your homeboy, and you guys are familiar with each other and you get that vibe across, or maybe someone you don't know as well and you treat them with an abundance of respect. So much so that it's like a little off-putting. And what I got there was that like it seems like you and Bao like might be pretty good friends or at least acquaintances, but maybe don't work with each other enough or something, I don't know, but you're butting heads constantly, talking over each other. The words of affirmation came out, the parroting came out. I felt like you guys were fighting over moments, like, quote unquote potential exciting moments. It seemed like you really wanted to be like the hype guy for Bao, and it seemed like you were just trying to get your 2 cents in sometimes, and I felt like you were getting overrun. And that's going to happen sometimes, and you need to figure out how to maneuver around that, because the best casters can cast with someone shitty, and you can't necessarily make them look good, but you can make them look infinitely better than what it would be otherwise. So that's kind of my critiques, and honestly, I feel like my critiques are the same every week. No matter who sends me a VOD, it seems like I'm always drilling the same things. So it's making me start to think that, alright, maybe I should just like stop taking these from people. And not because it's annoying or anything, but I feel like I could just be more efficient. Like if I just made like a general video talking about how to speak, not even content. Like this is the things I'm talking about could be applied to commentary for any game. And the thing is, our public speakers in Smash, more or less, just aren't as great as people would expect, right? And that's what commentators are. We're public speakers, but we're not only are we public speaking, but we're doing it with someone else. And that's where we really seem to struggle overall, even at the highest level. But at the highest level, you just notice it less, because that homie vibe's able to sink through more. But even they struggle with it as well. So I'm really gonna start thinking about maybe just making what I called the casting couch way back in the day, which was just like a commentary, how-to type series. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'll think about it. But hopefully you found this critique not too patronizing. I do feel like I was pretty hard on you and Bao, but also you are Dre Charles, so for someone who talks a lot of shit about Smash commentary, you have to be fucking phenomenal. You have to be phenomenal. And I'm not saying, I don't want to discourage you or anything like that, but I hope this motivates you to bring your A game that much harder. Because I'm never going to be like, I'm never one to dog on people like that, especially since in Smash, we generally do this for free or at a budget cost or because we like it or we're volunteering. And we don't have the money to support the infrastructure to make our commentators amazing in a traditional sense. So we really have to help each other out. So I hope you guys found this useful and educational. Sorry if I came off a little too harshly, but I also have exceptionally high expectations out of you as someone who seems to have exceptionally high expectations at everyone else. I don't think there's anything wrong with having high expectations, and the first thing I usually say to people who are complaining about commentary is, alright, let's see you do it, and at least in your scenario, you're doing it. You just have a lot of room to grow, and I'm excited to see, or hopefully see, you don't have to take any of the things I said and apply it to your commentary, but I'd love it if you did, and I'd be very excited to see how you apply it to your commentary and become a better commentator overall. I think I would enjoy commentating with you quite a bit, and maybe we'll get a chance at some tri-state or New England event in the future. But as you commentate more and more, you will be very easily able to discern the like commentators that you work with from the ones that are really good. And it's really a lot about being good at just talking as a skill. Talking is a skill, and people don't really think of it like that, but it is. Being able to talk well, fluently, efficiently, concisely, precisely, with good mastery of your voice and your levels and inflection in your tone, that's all skill. And I think we have a lot of room to grow there. So thank you for sending the VOD in. Special shout out to ML, right, Matt Lamar, for referring you here. And hopefully you were able to get something out of it. And if you did, I would appreciate that you send this resource to other commentators or casters that you know, so that they can improve as well. Because I hear people often complaining, and I will even complain even about how it's hard to have a dedicated source for constructive feedback and criticism as a commentator in the community, but it's very easy to find people bitching about it. So as a resource for the people, I'd love if more commentators around the world were able to find the stream and be able to get something out of it. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and take this VOD, download it from Twitch, upload it to YouTube, and you'll be able to access it there as well. I actually have like quite a few VODs uploaded to my YouTube that are unlisted, but I'll go ahead and try to make those live tonight so that people have those resources. I have like one from GPick, I think maybe Broza and Hungrybox I might have, Mellow Yellow and someone else. I might have Slep. I have a good few weeks here, right? This is week 8 or whatever, so that I've been kind of going through it. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and switch this to my face. What up, gang gang? It's me, it's your boy. I'm chilling here with the Frog Gang, or Turtle Gang, excuse me. It's been a pleasure. Here we go. There's the Frog Gang. You better watch yourself. I'm Flambo. You already know. It's been a pleasure. I really do love commentary, and I love trying to help people improve. So hopefully you guys got something out of this, and I'll catch you next week. I'm not sure what day, but I will find you next week. and we can do this whole shindig over again, whether it's the same people, different people. I don't care. I'm just trying to help people improve. So you know, let's keep it real. Deuces.